In this webinar, we're going to look at receiving commissions, managing your agents, and paying agents. This is going to be focused on the back office part of Tess as to how we account for the money. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to click over here on my application. You see the dashboard. Now, the first thing that we want to look at is your agents. So I'm going to go to my company, and this is my company setup, and then I have a tab here for users, and this is all of your users. And when you need to add a new user, you would just click Add User, and here's where you would set the information up, and you would add all your users. You maintain them completely right here. If I go back to my users and I pull up one here, I can pull this one up, and I can make them inactive like this is, and then now they're no longer active. Okay, so you have complete control over your users. Let's say that you sent an activation email to one of your users. You know, someone activated. This person activated, but they haven't, they're still waiting activation. And they say, well, I didn't get the email. What are you going to do about that? Well, you can pull them up, you can see they're waiting activation, and if I go to my account, let's see, I'm in the user, let's see, waiting activation. So I've got the user information. Oh, I don't know why that one's doing that. User information, and then I can go to my account, and then over here it would say awaiting activation. So that's what I need to do. So let me go here to my users, pull this one up, go to my account, and right here it says resend activation, so you can send them a different activation. Okay, so the whole point is you can completely control what goes on with all of your users right here. Okay, so let's go take a look at one of my users. I want to look at Donna. So I have Donna set up here, and this is Donna's information. Some of these things she can change herself. Some of the things I have to change. I want to go down because we want to look specifically at commissions. And so down here at the bottom, it says the user's commissions. Okay. Now, what I set up for her is originally in February, she was set up at 70%. Okay. And then because of a sales goal, I set up for her, she was promoted on the 2nd up to 80%. And then on the 1st, another sales goal was reached, and I just went in here and you do add, you put a description, you put the date, and you put the rate, okay, and that'll add another layer, okay. Now the way these layers work is this is all based on, as of this date, any bookings that have a booking date past 1/1/2017 will get paid at that new rate. Any bookings that were previous to that are still going to get paid at this rate here. And if there was a booking back before November the 2nd that was booked, say, last summer, they're going to get paid at the 70% rate. Okay, so that's kind of how the commission levels work. Okay, and so if you guys have any questions during the webinar, if you could just go ahead to your question box and ask them, we will get those answered at the end. Okay, so we've gone over the agents and we've gone over how the commissions are set up. Okay, so that's pretty much it as to the way that the user commission works. Now, one of the things I do want to mention for the administrators, and so if I pull up my administrator account, then I'm set up to not receive commission, okay? And the reason for that is what that means is that when Happy Traveler gets paid by a wholesaler, happy traveler is not going to write Ron a check based on his commissions. Okay, like all other owners, I get what's left over. I get to eat the leftovers. Okay, and so that's why this is checked no. If I go to my users and I look at Shawnee, she's set up as administrator. Okay, and which just means she has administrative rights, but she does get a commission. Okay, and so if you have an administrator that does get commission based on their sales, then that's where you would indicate that. Okay, all right. The next thing I want to look at is how we actually receive money. Okay, so we have a commissions area here. We're going to go over what all these things mean, and then we're also going to go over the unclaimed bookings. So we're received as, this is every check that I have received from wholesalers. Okay, and so each one of those, you see these two checks here, these are checks that were not reconciled. So I'm going to open this check. It wasn't reconciled, so I'm looking here and I'm going to say, okay, you know, there was a few things put in there, but it didn't get reconciled. So I'm going to actually want to delete that check. So I'm going to remove these bookings from it. And once I remove these bookings, and then I can go to the actual check itself, and I'm going to delete the check because that check was done in error, and I didn't really mean to do that. So that's how we would delete a check. So I'm going to delete this one, and this one has one adjustment, and I'm going to delete this from it. Okay, and then I can actually delete the check. So this is how you would delete a check that was put in there as a duplicate or not intended to be in there. Okay, and so I'm going to delete the check. So I'm going to come back to checks, and this is my checks received. Okay, now it's real important that you make sure all checks are accepted. So I can, you know, if I have any pending, see these are all pending. These were from a long time ago. Okay, and you want to make sure you don't have this. Okay, this is a test account. Is the reason it's that way, and so you'd want to get this stuff cleaned up and make sure that that you don't have any pending. All right. So what I want to do now is I got a new check. Okay. Let's see. So I got a check for $1,500 from Classic. So you know, you can put the check number here to make sure you haven't recorded it. Most of the time, you guys are going to know if you put the check in or not. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to add a check. Okay, and so here's the sender, and the sender was Classic Vacations, and the check number. You need to put their check number. Sometimes it's hard to find it when there's EFTs and stuff, but normally you can find one. If not, I use the date. So I'm going to put -3. And then I'm going to put the check amount. This was the total amount of the check, and then the date. Here, I wouldn't put the date that I received it. I would put the check date is what I usually put. Okay, and I'll kind of show you what that means. And I'm going to hit save. All right, so it shows me that I have no bookings, no commission adjustments, and I have an outstanding $1,500, which means I haven't reconciled anything. So I'm going to the Reconcile tab, and then what I can do is I can type in a booking number, and it's going to pull that booking up for me. Okay. Sometimes when you get those statements, it's not really easy to tell what the booking number was, or did the agent misunderstand, you know, and they got a transaction number instead of a booking number or something. So sometimes you just can't find it by that. Okay. And so what you want to do is you want to on the description, you want to be able to pull things up by the description also. And that's why I tell people, these aren't very good descriptions because I just put them in, but I tell people that they need to put the last name of the travelers, because normally that is going to be on that statement. You'll find that the better descriptions that your agents write, the easier it is to do commissions. But this is one of the bookings that I want, and so I'm just going to click Add. Now, when it was entered in by the agent, they put $500 as the commission. So if in fact, if this check is paying $500, then you would just leave that there. If the check was for $498, then you would change that to $498. Okay? So I'm going to add that. Excuse me. So now I have one booking added to my trip. Okay? And this is the next one that was on there. And so I'm going to add it. And then my last one. And so I've added it. All right. So I've added all three of those on the statement. And then I'm going to go to the next one, and it's going to be R224-4. Okay. That booking is not there. We'll go ahead and copy that. And then I'm going to search by the description and a lot of other, by the client names. I'm going to do everything I can to find it. Okay. It's just not in the system. Not your fault, you know, it's the agent's fault. So I'm going to add an unclaimed. So over here, I'm going to click Add Unclaimed, and I'm going to put that booking number there. I'm going to put the operator, Classic, and then I'm going to put the amount of the commission, 300. And here, whatever they have in that description, I'm going to type into this description here, okay? So the more you put in this description, the easier it's going to be for research later. So I'm going to update that, okay? Now, I'm going to cancel this so that we can look at it a little bit more in detail. So all these are bookings, and notice this one says booking/you. That just means it's unclaimed, okay? But it's still a booking. It's in the system, all right? So this check is completely reconciled. If I go back here and I see that it's completely reconciled, I can accept it, all right? But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add one more thing. I'm going to say that this check was actually for $2,000, and I'm going to save that. Okay, so it was $2,000, and so now I see it's not reconciled, and this really annoys me, but all the wholesalers do it. Okay. So let's say that you had done some kind of promo with them, all right, and some co-op advertising. Well, they will pay you for that co-op advertising on the same check that comes with bookings sometimes. I find it real annoying, but it happens. So this $500, and it says it on the statement, is for a co-op, okay? It's not for a booking. So what am I going to do about that? So what I want to do is I want to come down and I want to go to Adjustments, and I want to add a company adjustment, okay? And this is the amount of the adjustment. It's going to be for $500. The type is, we're going to say this was a co-op, okay? And we're going to write a description about what this was. Magazine ad co-op, and I'm going to update that. So now I've added that adjustment into the system, and I can go back to my check, and I'm going to pull this check up, and I'm going to go to Adjustments, and I see an adjustment down here that is available. All right, so I'm going to add this magazine. I'm going to add this. I'm going to bring that one in, and that one's been paid. So now the thing is fully reconciled. I'm going to go ahead and accept the check. Okay, so if I look at my check, I did have an adjustment, and I had 4 bookings that came through on that check. So what I would do is I would go through and I would receive these at this time. Can I add a search by the amount? Okay, we'll take a look at that one, Sam. All right, so what we have here is this check is fully reconciled. All right. So you would just receive your checks, okay? And we'd go through and just keep receiving checks. That's all that is at that time. I want to look at this unclaimed a little bit more. So I'm going to go here to unclaimed, and I see that I have a couple unclaimed here. I have several, all right? And I can sort and find the unavailable. Unavailable means that there's no booking to match for that, okay? And so they're just going to sit there and unclaimed until someone puts a booking in that's going to match, all right? So what I want to do now is I want to go down here and under commission, I want to click on due, okay? Now, right now, it only shows one of my agents has some money due, and they have 3 bookings and owe them $890. Now, any of your agents that have bookings in the system and they're due, then we've received money for it. It's going to show up here. Now, I do want to go look at one setup item because there's something that we need to talk about. So I'm going to go to my company, and I'm going to go to settings, and I want to look at this one setting under commission. This setting is for the commission payment booking start date. It's turned off, okay? And so this turned off. If it was turned on, it would say commissions will only be paid after the booking start date is passed, okay? So right now, this is set off. So what I want to do is I want to go back here and remember. And so they have 3 bookings here, okay? And so these are the booking dates, but it doesn't show me the start date, but there is 3 of them, okay? And for $890. So let's go back to my company, and let's go look at settings. And I want to turn this on, okay? Turning this on means that in order to pay an agent, you're going to have received the money, and they're going to have traveled, okay? And so if they've traveled, then they will get paid. So let's go to commissions and look at due. And now we only have 2 bookings. We don't have the 890. We had one of those bookings was traveling later, okay? And so even though you've received the money for it, that's not going to pay out yet, okay? All right, so what I want to do now is I want to switch over, and I want to see, you know, I have this, and it's not payday yet, okay, but that's sitting there. And then anytime you want to see how much money you've got going out, you can look at it. And then when your pay date comes, we'll actually pay these. Let's log out, and I want to go log in and see what Donna sees. So I'm going to log in as Donna. If I can get her password right. There we go. Okay, so we've got Donna sitting here, and I'm going to come down and look at my commission, and I'm going to see, look at my next check, okay? So right now, under my next check, Donna has $490, all right? And so she can look to see what it's going to pay, and all this tells her is the weeks are coming along. If she got paid today, that's what it would be, all right? So they always know, you know, what they're going to be paid on. They also can go to their reports and look at their projected income, and this projected income should be a really good indicator of, you know, what they have coming, okay? And so they can tell by the month. You know, we could go back to last year and go down and see maybe a couple of these haven't paid, but it looks like most of them have paid. And so this is their cash flow, so they can tell, you know, when they're going to get paid for these things, okay? So this one she's been paid on, this 500 and this 700 hasn't been paid. That's the travel impressions. And then these, so they can have a really good look. What's better than this look, though, is my next check, and the agents really like this a lot. Okay? All right. So I'm going to go back over here to the administrator. And I want to look at a couple other things. So the other thing that we can do is adjustments. Okay? And so I'm going to click on adjustments, and we put this company co-op adjustment in. And so what I want to do here is I want to add an agent adjustment. Now, you can put an adjustment at any time in for an agent. All right? And so let's say that I had to do some mailing for her. So I'm going to put minus 550. I'm going to put the agent's name that it applies to, and then I'm going to give a reason for this. So this was for mailing docs. Okay? And I'm going to add another adjustment, and I'm going to put a minus $30. And I'm going to apply that to Donna. And select Donna. And I'm going to write first quarter email. I want to update that. So whatever adjustments you have, you can just put those in there at any time. Okay? And so next time I come up and I go to pay, we're going to see the adjustments. So when I click on this, and I can look at them, and I can see this pay. All right. Now, let's just say that one of these items here, you know, I have a question on it, and I don't really want to pay that at this time. All right. So if you pay manually, okay, in other words, you don't do the pay by the group, once you set this up and go over here, you'll be able to remove one of those, okay? So let's do that. So let's come in here and let's set up check 500, and let's put a date, and let's hit save. You used that number too many times, Ron. Okay, so now I have this set up, and I could come over here and I could look at these, and let's say I have some questions about this, so I'm going to remove this one, okay? It's not going to pay at this pay period. Now notice it just brought it down here as unpaid bookings. It didn't go away, and you're going to still owe that, and every single time that's going to come up, okay? And so I can add it back, and it's going to pull it back in there, okay? And so let's say this adjustment, and you see one of these adjustments, and it says, oh, I don't want to charge her that. I want to do that next payday. Well, then I can remove this, and it's not going to go out on this one, okay? It's still going to be there, and after we pay this, if we go back in, then we're going to be able to see it. So I'm going to go ahead and send this check. And so it's submitted. Over here we have a button that says I can recall it. And if I go down to my due, it's going to be nothing due because there's just a negative, and I can't take a negative check. Now I can take a look at this, and I can see that all she's owed is the minus 30. Okay? And so this will come out of the next check. All right. So I look at my paid, I can see each time a check went out and it's been submitted. This means that Donna has not accepted it yet. Okay? All right. And so if there was a problem with that check, then I can go and I can pull this check up, and I'm going to recall the check. Okay? I can recall it. Now, I can't delete the check, and the reason I can't delete the check is because the check has items on it. So I'm going to go in here and remove these items. Once you remove the items, then I can delete that check. And delete. Okay. Now, I deleted that check, okay? But if I go back to due, it's still there. I still owe her that money. So it didn't change anything. You would have to go back to those bookings and take a look at those bookings. But if you need to recall a check and do a check over again, you can, okay? And that's how that would work. Now, if we're good with how this is, and let's say you had 10 agents down here, depending on how you pay your agents, okay, what you can do here is I can click here to pay all, and it's going to start with this sequence number, okay, and it's going to add to each one of them, all right. Now this one I've already done a check for 6, so I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to put today's date. Excuse me. And so now when I click pay all, it's going to go through and it's going to pay those 10 agents, all right? And it's going to be this check number, the 2017-0107-1-2-3. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click on pay all, and everything was done. And so now I have nothing due, and I'm going to go look at paid out. So this is my paid, and this is every payroll run that I did, okay? And it tells me that the total of all the checks. And then if I click on the symbol over here, it'll open up and it'll show me each one of the checks that went with that. But what you can do here is you can go over here to your little icon, and I'm going to click on that and export this to Excel. And then I'm going to take this Excel file and go over to my banking software or QuickBooks or whatever I use to physically send the checks and make sure each one of these checks gets sent for these amounts. Okay. Now, I don't have to send anything here to Donna that lets her know what she got paid. Okay. I don't have to do that. I just have to pay it. I have to get the money to her. Because when Donna logs in, so we're having an issue with our bill. You see that, Stephen, that's back? Okay, so normally there's a bell right here that would indicate that there's been a payment, but also in the inbox here is a list of all payments, okay? And so here's 2 that was actually done that haven't been received. I'm going to go receive this one, all right, and click on it, and it's going to pull the check up, all right, and it's going to show the 2 bookings, it's going to show them the 2 adjustments, all right, and I can accept this check. Now the agent would accept the check, okay. What that means is he actually got the money. If they have an issue, then they need to talk to you about it, and y'all can adjust that with adjustments. The only thing they're doing when they accept this check is, yes, I physically got this money. So I'm going to accept the check, okay. And so the check's been accepted. I'm going to go to my inbox for her. I want to clean that other one up too. That was some more testing I was doing. I want to accept that check also. That's where the problem is. That's that one I just deleted. Okay. And so when Donna goes down here to her received, it's going to be a list of all the checks, every check that she's received from you. Okay. At any time, she can go back and look at any one of them. All right, here it is, and it shows exactly what it's paid. So what I want to do is I want to go over here to this one, and let's go look at this booking, okay? So this booking was paid, she received the money, so I want to go look at that booking, and I pull that booking up, and I look at the receipts, and it shows when Classic paid Happy Traveler paid Donna. So there's a complete audit trail of every single thing that was paid here. Okay? So when Donna goes down and looks at her next check, she doesn't have one at this time. And when she goes and looks at her reports, she's going to see on her projected income, she would see where she received the money. And if she goes to her dashboard, this is what fills out the dashboard. This is monies received, during this month. Okay, so this shows, what she has actually received. So that's pretty much it, for how we pay agents and how you input commissions and the different things that you could do, whether it is a unclaimed booking. Let me go back to the unclaimed booking. Hold on a second. Gosh, I can't remember. So I need to log back in and see what that unclaimed was. I want to show how that can work. And so we have this under unclaimed. So this was the booking number, and it was for $300 with Classic. Okay, so Donna is sitting over there. Donna called up and says, "Hey, I haven't been paid for this." And we're like, "Well, you haven't put a booking in for it. That's why." And so she comes back in. And she has a new trip, and she does a trip. She fills all this out. And I'm going to enter a booking. I'm going to put that booking number, and I'm going to put Classic, and it was for $3,300. She saves that. Okay, so she does that, and all's fine. Now, when I'm over here working as an administrator, let me log back in. When I'm working as administrator and I'm putting my commissions in, and now it's time for me to do payroll, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and check on unclaimed bookings and see if there is any matches. Okay, and once you've been using the system for a while, there's going to be a lot in here. So I'm just going to put available, and it's going to pull up, well, there's 2 here. Okay, and so I'm going to link this. So I'm going to say link, and yes. I'm going to go ahead and link this one also. And I'm going to say yes. Okay, so now I don't have any unclaimed that's not linked, and so I can see, that this one got linked. Okay, and I can unlink it if there becomes a question until it's paid. Once it's paid, and it's taken care of. So now that booking that came into unclaimed, that payment is now going to show up for Donna. And so if I come down here to commission due, then she has that booking, okay? And I could pay her for that booking. So that's how the unclaimed get connected together so that they can pay out. So